those busloads of Africans, Pakistanis, Georgian and Albanians, I've got bloody news for you. A lot of these military age men between 18 and 35, they're not doctors or engineers, okay? Now, what they are actually are wards of the state. And that's what the Jacobin government is actually doing with accelerationism. And what you add on to that, all the punitive measures for the native population, they're leaving in droves when they leave over to Australia's, Canada's and America's. You know, your bongo is actually coming in. The punitive measures are being put on the Irish. And then obviously the new people in here are facilitated. Now, what do you play? What bell do you keep on playing on the Irish? Well, it's a perpetual crisis. Everything now is a crisis. You're going to say health crisis. Anything they talk about is a crisis. If the weather, there's a wind, there's a crisis of storms. Electricity, a crisis of energy. Oh, yeah. That's actually how you operate. Accelerationism.
Yeah, you see, and that's extraordinarily stressful, James. I mean, I know that from myself. I know that in my own body, in my neck, the stress I feel it increasing over the last couple of years because of that. For all that I know what's happening, for all that I've been analyzing it, it still affects me. You know, it doesn't make, just because I understand what it is, say, oh yeah, that's what that is, that's what that is. No, it still affects me. It gets in there. Now, you see, there's at the heart of this, there's a kind of a sleight of hand, semantically speaking, which goes something like this, that your Paddy is constantly flattered by the idea that he's not a racist, that he's a very enlightened, progressive fellow, you know, right? And that sort of, you know, he feels quite chuffed about that, you know. Oh yeah, no, I wouldn't be a racist. No, I wouldn't be very racist at all, you know. And he's delighted to hear that back, you know, for him keeping his mouth shut about losing his country. You see, that's a great thing, and he feels proud about that. He doesn't worry for the moment about losing his country, because he has also this sense that this kind of has been going on a long time, and sure, look at aren't we grand, and we're still doing all right, you know. We're still, the pig is still under us and all that, you know. But what he's forgetting is this point. I keep saying to them, this one kind of stops them up short, right? I say, well, you know, one night, maybe it'll be in 5 years' time or 7 years' time, might even be 11 years' time, but it won't be much beyond that. You'll be in bed at night, Paddy, and you mightn't wake up for this, but there'll be a kind of a ping out there in the ether.
You know what's coming.
And that ping, what it will mean, Paddy, is that you and your people are no longer the majority of people on this island. You're now a minority. And that changes everything. Because now all of a sudden, your tolerance and your compassion and your humanity and all of these things that you were flattered for by your creepy politicians, they will mean nothing. Because this island will belong to others. That seems to you at this moment impossible, but it's actually in the process of happening, and it will happen inevitably as a result, not just of the inflows, but of the escalation in births of the non-Indigenous population. Sorry for using that terrible expression, but there it is, non-Indigenous population. Now, I will take this now to its final kind of, as it were, resting place, which is the idea of this. I'm not a morbid man, but, you know, I'm kicking the arse at 70. So there are certain things at that age, James, you don't have to worry about that yet. You have to consider, you know, where they're going to plant me in the end. And I've been thinking a little bit about this over the last 2 years, not unduly, you know, just now and again. And I have a particular place in mind, which is my family plot in Hamlish churchyard in Sligo, North Sligo. Now it's actually an old Protestant church. It's now what do you call it? It's no longer I forget the word for that. Is it desacralized or something like that? But now, but it occurs to me, James, that the way this country is going, that within a very short number of years, that church will be a mosque, and the graveyard will be a car park. And my question, therefore, is, James, very simple. And it's a question that every Paddy, or every other Paddy in the country should really, I think, whisper to himself as he goes to sleep tonight. And this question is the following. Do I want to be buried in a foreign country?
Yeah, a great question. And as you alluded to earlier, it's the population singularity. And when it gets to that, well, effectively, it's going to be irreversible.
Yes.
As for the likes of the virtue signaling, do you think that Bongo Bongo and Mohammed are going to be as sympathetic there? No, no. Do you know why?
Little evidence of it now, Jim. Very little evidence.
Huh?
There's very little evidence so far that they're going to be, you know, overdoing the compassion and tolerance. No.
Yeah, we keep on hearing that the Irish are full of entitlement, but you could nearly say a lot of these new to the parish, there's a big stench of entitlement now, we'll say, off them, like, you know, you can nearly...
Well, they're educated. That's the whole process, you see. The whole process, the NGO process, is to educate them in their rights and their entitlements. And indeed, the fact that they come into this country with a major advantage over the indigenous population, which is they're accompanied by what I would call a floating zone, almost a background radiation all around them of UN jurisdiction, which protects them every step of the way and enjoins all systems in the country they arrive in to dance to their tune. That's something people don't really understand. They don't say, "Oh, it's not fair that they're giving our tax money to these people." No, it's not your tax money anymore, Paddy. You gave it up to them. Do it, whatever they wanted, and this is what they're doing with it. And they won't need you for much longer, and then they'll tell you to go take a run and jump at yourself. That's what's happened. That's what's going to happen, and there's nothing else going to happen unless we make it happen.